Hey yo, welcome back Cardmarket people, you're back with me Hot Chuck, and today we're going to continue our Evolving Skies pre-launch content, and today I've got a deck list for you for each one of the Eeveelution VMaxes in this set. How gnarly is that? Let's get involved. Before we get started, we're actually running a giveaway here on Cardmarket Pokemon. If you want to win 2 free pack blisters, so 6 packs in total including promos, leave the comment down below Vaporeon and you will be entered. But let's get started with Vaporeon VMax. Right, so Vaporeon VMax is a VMAX Pokemon with 320 HP. It's actually a Rapid Strike Pokemon too, with 2 really cool attacks. The first one, Bubble Pod, I feel has a lot of potential, but I don't think it's got the right partner yet. What it does, for 1 energy, you can grab a water type from your discard pile, put it onto your bench, and attach 3 water energies to it from the discard pile. That doesn't sound too great until you realise you can actually grab stage 2s and other VMAXs with this as well. So I was having a look to see if there's any like good water stage 2s or other VMAXs, and the best one I could come up with was this Samurai that lets you discard energy, or Blastoise VMaX, or Darmanitan VMax. I don't think any of them are worth running at the moment, but if there's ever a good water type stage 2, we know that Vaporeon is the way to go. But since we're not really using that attack much in this list, we're actually using the Max Bubble attack, I think it's called. For 3 energy, you do 100 damage plus 100 if your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage counters on it already. So we're going to combo this with the quick shooting Inteleon, which lets you put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon once per turn. So you can see the synergy there. We're going to be doing 3 for 200 with the quick shooting Inteleon, getting the damage into play, whilst giving us the Shady Dealings Inteleon from Sword and Shield, which lets you get 2 trainers from your deck when you evolve, and then the Shady Dealings Drizzle, which lets you get 1 trainer from deck when you evolve. So we've got a lot of consistency going on there. Speaking of consistency, we also have Suicune V. It's going to be a nice little 2-prize attacker, which has that Blizzard Rondo, which is 20 times the amount of bench Pokemon in play, that both yours and your opponent's. And then you've also got its ability, which lets you basically just grab a card if it's in the active spot. So we play some balloons so we can try and have that as a pivot. Apart from that, the list is pretty normal. We have ourselves some shells just so we can try and heal off, because with the elemental badge that you can equip to Vaporeon on the tool card, you can actually do that max bubble attack for 2 energy, or 1 rapid strike energy. You can see the synergy now then. So with the elemental badge, we can attach rapid strike energy, do 200. If we take a big hit, we can shovel, attach another one, and keep it moving like this. And Inteleon keep the all moving consistent. And that is Vaporeon VMax. Alright, moving on, we have Jolteon VMax, a pretty cool VMAX Pokemon with a Max Thunder Rumble attack, which actually sounds pretty gnarly, right? Which is 100 damage for 2 energy, and then 100 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon that has damage on already. So you're essentially doing 2 for 200 there. And this is really good at just decimating your opponent's bench Pokemon. We know that Inteleon is going to be super popular in the post-rotation format. We actually play it in this deck here as well. And this absolutely shreds bench Inteleons or Crobats and stuff like this. So that's our build around attack there. It's really good. It actually gets even more efficient because that same elemental badge that we had on Vaporeon, we can actually put on Jolteon as well. Meaning we can do Max Thunder Rumble for 1 energy. That is pretty bonkers if you ask me. Speaking of the Vaporeon, no, we actually run those same Inteleons here again in the same lines. We've got that Shady Dealings one that lets you get trainers, and so the Drizzle. And we've got the quick shooting one. We actually have that as a 3 count in this deck though, just because it's really important for us to get that extra damage for the Max Thunder Rumble. They need to have damage on as well, so it's really important that we get that Inteleon really, really fast. In saying that, Inteleon is a stage 2, so sometimes we need to get that damage into play as early as like turn 1 or turn 2. That's when we're going to run a Galarian Zigzagoon where you can bench it, put damage in play, Max Thunder Rumble goes a bit gnarly. So that's Jolteon VMax. Alright, so next up we got Flareon, which is actually my favourite Eeveelution, but this Flareon VMax, there's a lot of potential, we'll put it that way, but it's a really hard deck to build. Essentially, Flareon VMax has the attack Max Detonate. For 3 energy, you discard the top 5 cards of your deck and you do 100 for each energy card you discarded in this way. So the idea is here you just want to KO 2 VMAXs and then just be done with it. But the problem is it attacks for 3 energy. Now we've seen attacks like this before in the past on Typhlosion and Gyarados. The difference is they attack for 1 energy. So we actually need to get 3 energy into play. But that elemental badge that Jolteon and Vaporeon run also can be ran here, reducing that attack cost down to 2, which I think is slightly more manageable. So the only problem with this, we have to have so many energy in our deck for this to work right. And as we actually run 24 energy, that's almost half the deck. I mean, we haven't got a lot of room for consistency. So we played a 4-4 Flareon, And we actually play a really odd supporter lineup with 4 Pokegears. We play Opal at a 4 count, and then we play Skylar at a 4 count as well. The idea being, sometimes we need to get like Eeveelution Incense, Quick Ball, Elemental Badge. We need to find these cards, right? And Skylar and Opal, the only ones that really let us do this. So that's our supporter lineup. We've got 4 Pokegears, so we can just try and use them as often as possible. And we've actually got a 2-2 of the Milotic line here. The Milotic is a stage 1 Pokemon that stops all effects of your opponent's supporters done to your hand. So that basically means no Marnie. So we can't just get Marnie into 4 energy, which would normally happen quite a lot of this deck. Don't know if it warrants a space, but I think my initial list testing will be done with it, and we'll see how we go. Worth noting, the single strike energies do count for the max detonate attack, and they're really important, because if you just have one of those single strike energies attached, that means if you discard 3 energy, instead of doing 300, you're actually doing 320 now, and 320 we all know can one-shot a lot of VMAXs. So that's Flareon. Okay, next up we've got Espeon, and Espeon VMax I don't think can ever realistically be a build around. Anytime your attack is reliant on your opponent doing stuff, I don't think you can realistically make it a build around attack. But what it is really good at is being really good in the Shadow Rider VMax mirrors. So we actually have a Shadow Rider VMax deck here with a 1/1 Espeon VMax slotted in. Espeon VMax is a VMax Pokemon, obviously, with an ability which stops all effects of attacks apart from damage done to your Pokemon. That's pretty cool, nice little handy bonus. But the attack, or is it Max Mindstorm, is pretty cool, does 60 times each one of your energies attached to your opponent's Pokemon in play. So in the Shadow Rider mirror, essentially that Espeon will just win you the game. Like, it's literally that simple. Because they're going to be flooding the board of energy. You can just drop the Espeon, drop the VMAX at one point, attach to it, and in a similar vein in this list as well, we also have the Alcremie VMAX, just for like doing that same thing against decks that don't attach a lot of energy. So and yeah, we all know how good Shadow Rider VMAX is, and I think a 1/1 Espeon VMAX goes in here really nicely. Right, next up we have Leafeon VMax, a Pokemon that's actually got a really interesting attack which does more damage dependent on your opponent's retreat cost. So it's a couple downsides with this. If your opponent has no retreat cost or an air balloon attached, you could be in the spot of bother, but we do run some kind of tips and tricks in this deck so we can try and overcome them. So the attack, actually, our build around is Grass Knot. For 2 energy, you do 60 times the amount of retreat cost on your opponent's active Pokemon. And then you've got 3 for 170, and then you can heal some damage, but we don't really want to be worrying about that one too much. Worth noting that Leafeon V here is actually pretty gnarly. With that Greening Calls ability, once you're in a turn, you can search your deck for a grass energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon, and end your turn. This is fantastic turn 1. So this just takes the pressure off actually having to find energy in your hand, because as long as you can get Leafeon down, you know there's going to be energy coming. We won the Inteleon lines in here as well. So we've got 2 of the quick shooting ability, 1 of the shady dealings, and 4 of the shady dealings Drizzile. Just to help us keep ticking over, because they're going to really have to find our stuff like Galar Mine, the stage that increases our opponent's retreat cost by 2, Tool Scrapper to get rid of air balloons, and then the Snow Leaf Badge to give our Leafeon VMAX's free retreat as well, and no weakness as well. So other cool things about this list, we actually run 4 of the capture energies, so we can really get into those Sobble nice and early. And again, even if you have to attach to Sobble, let's say we lead Sobble and we can't find a Leafeon V, right? We can attach capture energy to Sobble, and then straight away after that, we can get out the Leafeon, use his ability, and now Leafeon's got a grass energy attached. It's a pretty cool little combo. So there's Leafeon VMax. Right, so similar to Espeon VMax, Sylveon VMax is probably best off in a toolbox kind of deck than actually being its own standalone. And in this deck, we're going to slide straight into the Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX's deck. This is actually quite good for a number of things, because that means you can hit for Psychic Weakness now in mirror matches and against other Urshifus, including Single Strike. So let's look at what Sylveon VMax does. So VMax Pokemon 310 HP. With the Precious Touch attack, which does, well, you can attach energy from your hand when your Pokemon heal 120 damage from it. Don't really want to be using that. We've also got Max Harmony, though, for 3 energy. It does 70 damage plus 30 for each different type of Pokemon on your bench. So let's say you had a Fight in the Dark type, you do 60 plus 70, which is 130. So if you have 5 different Pokemon, different types, I think you can max out something like 220. And that's a pretty good number, especially with weakness. You're ejecting any psychic weak stuff from the game. So in this deck, we play stuff like Octillery, that lets us get any Rapid Strike card from our deck, put it in our hand once per turn. Play Eldegoss, which lets us get supporters back. We have Crobat, to let us draw cards, obviously. Galarian Moltres, which means we can start hitting for dark type weakness against Shadow Riders and stuff like this. So you can see this is sort of like a throw it all into one deck, and hopefully we have the tools to deal with every single matchup. And obviously we also have the Rapid Strike Urshifu VMax as well, with that Gale Thrust and Rapid Flow attack, hoping to clean up quite nicely. So yeah, that's the home for Sylveon VMax. I don't think it's going to be a standalone. Is it going to be good in this deck? I'm not 100% sure. I feel as if you could be clunking up Rapid Strike Urshifu here for no real good payoff. But hey, we shall see moving forward. Right, so now we've got Umbreon VMax. And Umbreon VMax could be the new face of the single strike attacking core. Umbreon VMax is an amazing card. Not only does it do 3 for 160, which with single strike energies it can start pushing 2 shots very easily, but it's also got that bright look bloodthirsty eyes ability. When you evolve them, you can boss his orders up one of your opponent's Pokemon, meaning they can no longer hide from you. If they only get 1 attack in basic down, you can try and grinch it nice and fast. We obviously all know what Houndoom does for now for our single strike Pokemon. Let's get a single strike energy out of the deck, attach it, and put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Meaning we have a real good energy acceleration core here. We also play a 1-1 of the single strike Urshifu VMax just to give us that fighting type coverage, whilst also being a complete eject button sometimes. With that G-Max 1 blow doing 4 for 270. And goes through all effects of your opponent on your opponent's Pokemon as well. So with some single strike energies, that is reaching numbers it has no right to be hitting. And apart from that, we're a pretty standard looking single strike list. Worth noting, we do play 2 of the Zinnia's Resolve here though, just to act as a little bit extra draw support, which lets you discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, draw 1 card for each one of your opponent's Pokemon in play. Single strike needs to have a big hand to operate, and you can afford to play like supporters that aren't boss and these off supporters, because Umbreon VMax does that boss's job nicely, huh? So I'm actually pretty excited for Umbreon VMax, and I think you should be too. Right, and our last one for today is Glaceom VMax, a VMax Pokemon 310 HP with the Crystal Veil ability, which stops all damage from opponents' V and VMaxes apart from Glaceon. So the idea is here that our opponent's Pokemon, if they're V or VMaxes, actually cannot hit us. To balance that though, our attack isn't really the greatest. Max Ice Core 150 and does 30 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. I mean, it's not great, but it's probably good enough to where this deck can be a big wall. Think of the Decidueye, for example. And win a lot of games through that. Now, worth noting though, this isn't as good as the Decidueye, because this can get turned off by Path to the Peak. So if our opponent puts Path to the Peak in play, it turns off our ability, then they can hit us. So to counteract that, we play 4 Stadiums. And the only stage I can realistically think of here that will work is probably Dynatree Hill, just to stop any opponents trying to shell and draw out the game. I mean, the post-rotation format stadiums aren't very good, I'm not going to lie. And then we play the Intellion Launch just to help bolster our damage output. Turn those 150 Icicles into 2 shots, because 150 times 2 is only 300. And help us find those stadiums ASAP Rocky if the Path to the Peak comes down. So this could actually be a pretty cool under-the-radar archetype as well. But let me know what you think. You're going to build any of these Eeveelution decks? Let me know in the comments which one do you think is your favourite. And don't forget to enter the giveaway by leaving a comment, Vaporeon. Thanks for watching, as always, though, and I'll see you all next time.